Welcome back to the Dynasty Dingers podcast. Today is Thursday, July 24th. We have a great episode. We're going to break down a little bit of the trade deadline players to watch and impactfulness in fantasy baseball. Second half heroes, who are some names that Doc and I are looking for in the second half to provide a big impact as we get closer to playoffs and in playoffs. And then a couple names to just chat about in regards to first half into second half regression, who may have overperformed, who do we expect to slow down. Before we jump in, Doc, what's going on, dude?
I don't feel so good. I don't think anyone's going to notice. My brain power it's like I got that weird, I think it's a COVID thing. I think ever since COVID, every so often, every year, I'll have some kind of sickness where I don't really get sick, but I have no energy for like a week. And I know I'm fighting something, and it's like, anyway, nobody will notice because I'm already like kind of mostly a dumb guy. And so if I just feel a little dumber, it's not like it's a smart guy who got really dumb, So it's I'm sure there's some kind of phrasing around that, diminished returns, parallelogram, some kind of whatever theory. Yeah, sorry, the parallelogram theorem, the
Is this a
Pelican
thing?
theory. I'm just saying words, brother.
Okay. I was going to say we can make it a thing. We can submit it to Urban
Words
Dictionary.
are a social construct.
Yes. I mean, we all just agreed on the meeting at the end of the day. So if you would like to create your own language or create a parallelogram subterm meaning, I'm down for it. I think we could branch that into fantasy baseball as well and shake up the industry.
Yeah,
By the way,
rocket appliances.
I was going to take a screenshot. I don't remember which account. It was one of the large accounts, whether it was Major League Baseball or it was Baseball America. It was after during the Brewers' winning streak. It had just an image of Durbin, and it said, Durbinator. And I was
No
like, okay.
way.
Oh, yeah.
It
And I
said
was
that?
like, yeah, it said Durbinator. While we talk today, I'll see if I can find it and send it to you, because I was like, you probably should have trademarked that. That would have been a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, at what point do I get royalties? At what point will Durbin acknowledge my existence? We'll find out. If I got to post more, I'm sorry for everyone. I've just been completely MIA. I just found out that Ross Jensen's gone for like 10 days. So like he holds a lot of, social media together for Prospects Live, and so he might be forcing me to get back on. He didn't tell me to do anything, but I'm going to feel like I got to carry my load a bit more. And I love using Prospects Live's account to amplify my garbage takes on my own account. So we're going to maximize that as long as I can. And might have to do more of that since Ross will be gone. See how much people will take. But Caleb Durbin's been frustrating me a little bit lately. Not him, but the team. Maybe you can speak to that while you're looking that up. It's like they keep benching him like while he's got, the Durbin. Oh, they put that up.
So
dude, thank you for letting me know. I have to go.
Yeah.
This is my return to social media. But dude, why do they keep benching him? He's been hot. What's wrong with the team?
So it's interesting you bring that up. There were a few group chats today, and I dove on Twitter just to find it out. Some people were theorizing that the kid that they have right now, forget his name. I'm such a great host here, but I think it's Siegler, was actually picked up in our 30-man illegally by Mr. Ross Jensen. We had to give him a little slap on the wrist for that. But anyways, there's some theory that he's going to be either DFA'd, waived, sent back down, however that works based off his player options and his control. Siegler, the third baseman, utility player, right? So he started.
Let me repeat myself. Sorry, who? Sorry, buddy.
No, but this is the problem with the Brewers, right? We talked about this early in the year. I say it's a problem. It's not a problem. It's a problem for fantasy. For the Milwaukee Brewers as a baseball team, they play matchups. They do things very, very differently because they're a small market club. Siegler played yesterday. Brewers won by like 6, 7, 8 runs. So I understand that people are calling for Durbin to play, but this is kind of how the organization works. This was a concern we had coming into the year. I do think Durbin's the guy. I am encouraging this club, not that I have any influence, not to go trade for Suarez, not to go trade for McMahon. Well, McMahon is being inquired about by Milwaukee per reports, but reports are what they are right now. But Doc, I think the real concern with Durbin and Milwaukee's performance over their 11-game winning streak is fair to say from one side that this is them at max output. They're playing the best ball of the season. Durbin coincides with that streak as well. And, we just assume that this is what Caleb Durbin is. I think Caleb Durbin's probably a little bit in between the terrible player that he was and what is right now an all-star third base level minus the prodigious power, right? So what is your take on that as you've seen the evolution of maybe his season, also this team and how they've played, right? Getting swept in Yankee Stadium, having that huge run differential with the Torpedo Bats, coming into this big winning streak, and then Durbin, a guy that you've loved all season. Do you expect for him to keep up his recent numbers, or do you think he's going to kind of regress to the means?
I mean, his slump is the outlier right now. Even when he started off the year, it was like fine. It was good enough. He's clearly a ball player. If they just let the kid play, he seems to be really good. He's really key. I mean, it's weird. They're just a strange team because he'll do that. They'll do this. They'll like bench him for 2 games after he's been crushing it, and then he'll come out and he'll start 10 straight games. We'll forget about this, and then he'll get benched for like 3 straight games for no reason, seemingly. No, I think he's here to stay. Yeah, again, like, are we talking about a superstar? I don't know, but it's like if he can steal bases, if he can get 10 home runs, if you can go 10 home runs, 30 stolen bases with this 270, 350 thing, I've been calling that this whole time. That's realistic upside. Yeah, no, he's here as long as he gets the opportunity. But he's been through adversity before. There's always going to be a big, strong power bat, especially at third base, like Brock Wilken, coming along to ready to dethrone him. So he's going to have to be grinding his whole career. I'm sure there's going to be ups and downs. It's not going to be an easy ride. He's not 6'2", 215. He's not this prototypical body size. So. Or really your typical 2025 ball player, but I think he is a baseball player. That's more important.
Well, and you can look at it a few ways here, right? He sat Wednesday against Seattle, which Milwaukee won 10-2. Aforementioned Siegler played in his place. In 3 at-bats, Siegler scored 2 runs. In the 4th at-bat, Caleb Durbin pinch hit for him. Not really sure the logic there. Matchups again, but Milwaukee had an off day today, flying back to Milwaukee to play the Marlins in a 3-game home series coming this weekend, starting tomorrow. So maybe it was just a case of, hey, we're benching our starter to give him, almost 2 full days of rest. Who knows? But
maybe he's banged up.
Yeah, I mean, that was some of the chatter as well. Coming out of the All-Star break, though, you would hope if a guy's playing the first series that they're healthy. But if he's banged up, I would anticipate a move because they can't roll Siegler and Black out there. Also, Tyler Black was starting yesterday. Like, very strange lineup that Milwaukee chose. So I don't know that that's too much to get into. But I think we jump into kind of the.
Oh yeah, we got it. That was just like the most esoteric Brewers start. We just lost most of our audience. If you skipped forward, we're gonna go and talk about what we said we were gonna talk about right now.
Yeah, what is our time mechanism here? Yeah, 8 minutes and 31 seconds. Here we go. All right, Doc. Second half heroes. This is open-ended, right? This is pick your guys moment for both of us right here. You can lean on the young prospects that have come up. You can lean on former prospects, Langford, Holiday. You can lean on the old vets if you want. So I'm going to let you kick it off. Who are you expecting to play second half heroes for fantasy this season?
Just in case just in case everyone who listens here doesn't cross over into my Sunday Smoke article on Prospects Live, I did write about second half heroes. I tried to get a little bit deeper in terms of like guys you acquire, not necessarily the guys who are going to be on your free agent wire or your waiver wire. Kerry Carpenter. So everyone knows him. He's good, but he's been whittling down like 50% on Yahoo, 50% owned, 50% rostered. And we know who he is and who he is. He's the original Kyle Stowers. Whoa, you can't. I bet you when I say that. So Kerry Carpenter, I repeat, Kerry Carpenter was the original Kyle Stowers. He's gone through these phases of just mashing baseballs to the moon, and we're like, this guy's Kerry Bonds. He's so good. And now, but when he goes through his slump, he went through a little slump. His zone contact basically stayed the same. By the way, it's just It went down, and he started coming back up. Actually, he hit like 3 home runs right before he got hurt. But he got hurt. Now he's got a hammy issue. He's always hurt. That's the big catch with Carey. But he's going to come back and he's going to slug bombs. He already has, I think he has like 16 or 18 still already. And so he's going to go and probably get over 25 home runs this year. So he'll find those, maybe get up to 30 if he goes crazy. But yeah, we forget, we forget the boring names. We want like the next big thing. We want these Roman Anthony's and these, maybe a JJ Weatherholt. That's a fun. All these rookies, we expect them to come up and mash. Sometimes they will, but sometimes it's the kind of like vet who's boring, but when he gets hot, he's all of a sudden not so boring, right? It's the name you're not thinking of right now that you need to start thinking of. And like right now, Carey's hurt. It's not sexy. Luke Keeshaw's another guy who's like, he was the flavor of the week for just about a week. I think he played 7 games, crushed it, had like a 600 OBP, was stealing bases, hitting home runs. Not sure if he's really like more than a 15 home run hitter in the major leagues, but it could be like a 30 stolen base profile with a 350 plus OBP. How's that play? Play? So those are, I got more guys, but off the top of my head, like right now, they're not the sexiest buys in like a redraft league or, no one likes to trade for an injured player usually, right? Unless they're a superstar. Those guys aren't superstars. Keisha was never even though he should have been like a higher prospect than he was I had him top 30, but a lot of people weren't really giving him that shine. Kerry Carpenter, he's still just 27 years old. He's actually only a few months older than Kyle Stowers, which is insane. 4 months older. Put that
Dang it is fun, right? With Stowers breakout, and I tried to sell you Stowers at his peak, but you're too smart for me, sir.
I like Stowers a lot, but he's due for like just he cannot keep this up. If he does, he's gonna crank 40, I guess.
Yeah. But and then I would still encourage people to sell this offseason. Like I like him a lot. I want him to be a star. I know you do too. Like Miami needs it. And when he impacts the ball, it's cool to watch. But we've seen too much volatility, right? And you mentioned the age. Like there's a reason Baltimore traded him, because he was not showing at AAA the ability to hit the ball for the average that they wanted. And here he is having, a couple great hot streaks this season. This last one we're coming out of is the second time where he's gone nuclear.
Let me trade for him because I do think
my price.
I'm not giving you Connor Griffin.
That's my price for potentially the next Barry Bonds.
I'll wait for his next cold streak then, because he got dropped in leagues. It's insane, man.
Yes,
he got dropped in a lot of leagues, in competitive leagues. In TGFBI, he was on the wire. I'm like, all right. Picked him up. He's mashed like 5 in a week. Oh, I'm a genius. My team still sucks. My pitching is this year's been completely flip-flop. Last year I was like, I could do no wrong with pitching. My bats just couldn't figure it out. This year it's the opposite. Got amazing bats. Pitching is just, I don't know how to do pitching this year in baseball. Just everyone's hurt all the time. It's insane. It feels like more than usual. Maybe it's just the guys I drafted. But Kyle Stowers, I will say the big difference between him and some of these other hack and slash guys. So Carey's numbers are actually better in terms of like, I forget the metrics now. Some of these metrics, typically he's not as much of a free swinger, but what he's much worse at, and what Kyle Stowers is much better at, is taking a walk, and that might make it work. The fact that he does seem to have like this controlled patience, or this controlled chaos or chaotic patience. That's it. He's got chaotic patience because it's a strange profile. If you look at it on Savant, it's just red every time he touches the ball. Blue for like every contact. He's got 69% contact rate. It's not fantastic, but then his walk rate, I think he's in the 70th or higher percentile for walk rate. So it's really, really good walk rate, and he's young, and so I think that there is a chance this could work out as long as those slumps. We saw how bad the slump was. Again, he was cut everywhere. So I advised about this. Gosh, I'm going on way too long about him, but I advised about this in like May, I think it was. I said, he's hot right now. Don't get him now. If you don't have him, I wouldn't trade for him. He's too risky. But wait for him to get cold, then make a move. So I'll do that with you. Take my own advice when he gets cold again.
I have patience, right? We still have a Colson Montgomery trade I think you offered it 2 months ago, sitting in an
I
inbox.
can't buy him now. Now he's too high. We could talk about. Let's talk about Colson Montgomery.
I think it's interesting. And you know what? This is going to revert to a conversation you and I were having on the phone today that I'll just bring up. We were having the conversation just how hard it is to really assess prep drafted players coming out of high school when the industry catches on to a narrative, right? And Ross actually tweeted about it today as well. He said outright, like, I'm very surprised that the industry has Ethan Holiday is having a poor hit tool. He says, I'm not buying it. Okay, that's his opinion. I share his opinion. Until I see pro data, until I see him struggle, maybe like Charlie Condon struggles, I'm going to say, oh, okay, maybe there is a hit tool problem. But we referenced this a lot. The same thing was attached to Connor Griffin last year. Clearly not a problem. We talked to his dad about that. A lot to go into that, right? About maybe why he struggled at certain parts his junior, senior year because of an injury. We just don't know enough. And I think that all the way through the scale of minor league baseball into Major League Baseball, and I'm going to use that reference as Jackson Merrill. Like Jackson Merrill never did what he did as a rookie in the minor leagues. He was never banging the cover off the ball saying, I'm an elite level prospect. He was rushed a little bit. He held his own at levels, but he never blew our socks off. Now, Colson Montgomery, even worse so. Like, yes, early on, low levels showed ability, but as he continued to get promoted and had that back injury, never really showed. The point I'm trying to make is, again, prospect growth, baseball players, it's not just the staircase progressive growth. Like sometimes these guys just produce when they figure it out. I think we're starting to see that with Spencer Jones, at least at AAA. Who knows how that relates to the major leagues and how he does when he's promoted. But sometimes it just clicks. And I'm not saying that Colson Montgomery is just a guy that's clicking or that he's Jackson Merrill. But I did feel when they called him up, I said, no, he's going to have a shot to play against major league guys. No one's taking his job, presumably. So unless he hits 100, he gets a chance to learn and grow and develop at the major leagues. And I'm excited for that. I would not be acquiring him. If you have him, I would not necessarily be trading him. But if you can go out and get, I don't know, a Jordan Lawler, I think I would make that deal still. But I am excited for what he's done. And overall, I wanted to hear what your thoughts were because you've liked him for a while.
Well, sounds like you have to trade me Colson Montgomery. Why are you being so stubborn? It's fine. I'll do Caleb Bonham for Colson Montgomery live on air right now.
I wouldn't do that.
Bonham
it's a good offer. Bonham is just too far away in a 30-man for me. He's a good player, good prospect.
Well, you're too far away. I'm going to win the next 4 years, so might as well wait.
Hey, you're doing pretty well. I'm
doing well with ammunition. Connor Griffin and Max Clark on the way. It's not good. It's not good for the league. But it's bad for morale. So Colson Montgomery, I'm just looking at his profile. I love small sample sizes when it does things like this. This is so funny. So his bat speed is so good. Average bat speed is like 76. He is like amongst like the top in the league. Really, really good. He's hitting the sweet spot a ton. Taking good walks. But 80 average EV, 80 mile per hour average EV makes Caleb Durbin look like a Frank Thomas.
But you did preface it. It's too small of a sample. But
no, it's just so funny. That's not going to stick. His max EV is like 112. So he's obviously he's got the. It's just a very funny guy with this bat. We should take a screenshot. Got this bat speed. Got this max EV power. His average EVs are
just
80.
start posting it. Colson Montgomery will never be a power hitter.
Yeah, Colson Montgomery.
Well, I did want to say though too, and I'm almost positive that both of his home runs came in Colorado. I'll fact check that while you continue to talk. But that is a piece too. He opened his big league career in Colorado. That helps numbers.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every rookie is going to be struggling. Nick Kurtz, we didn't think it was even remotely possible, and now we're back to that again. Like, oh, of course, like he can never struggle again now because he's so good. And these guys he is good, right? Like that's not an untrue statement, but he's going to struggle. All players will struggle. People are starting to jump ship.
Home runs against Tampa Bay. Sorry, in Tampa.
Okay. Thank you for apologizing to our listeners. Every decision they make, fantasy-wise, it hinges on this podcast. All 5 listeners. So we love you guys. Never change. And you're all. I think there's like one woman. I saw the metrics once. There's one woman out there. Appreciate you. Mm-hmm. It's my mom. My mom watched. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think my mom knows what a podcast is. Josh Naylor on air right now, traded to the Mariners.
Ooh, okay.
So
do you have the?
This is cool. We gotta have this in our. Let's do this as our headline tomorrow. So I have Jeff Passan giving me headlines on ESPN.
That's how it is, though, especially with these that break. All right, we'll dig a little bit. I'm going to talk about my 2 guys real quick, and then
I want to talk about Ethan Holiday after because you brought him up too.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Right now.
Yeah, let's. I mean, my guys can wait.
Okay, so I want to say real quick. So I can't believe it's happening again. I can't believe if it's. I want to draft all my FYPDs right now. I thought I was seeing like 1 or 2 weird guys with their FYPDs. No, the industry's doing it. They're doing it again. They're gonna let us have another Holiday. They're gonna let me get Holiday. So I remember Jackson Holiday slipping and not being treated as the guy who he became. Not even who he is now. He became the number 1. His peak was, as of now, was like this number 1 superstar prospect. But at the time of FYPDs, no, it was Drew Jones. That was the big guy.
Yep.
It was like, how could he not? How could the? Because it was so Holiday went 1 and Drew went 2, right?
Yep.
Again, sick brain, a little bit dumber than normal. But so it was like people couldn't believe that even happened, and I'm over here like I can believe it. I mean, they both have good pedigree, but we saw the results of that. It's so amazing that you can see a father. This is not your geek stats. These are not your metrics, right? This is just like what we know to be true. So when a father is like a star player, an all-star, year in, year out, solid hitter. He has a son. The son comes up looking like he's not a superstar right now, but like what he's doing at his age, Jackson Holiday is very likely to be a superstar, cornerstone of a franchise. Playing really well. He's playing like a solid MLB vet right now, like at the age of 21. So it's insane. Like it's underrated how good he is at baseball. So now it's not like you have one dad, because the one dad has one son, and that guy can be a bust sometimes.
Okay, before you keep going, I wanted you to highlight that, because Andrew Jones is the father of Drew Jones, arguably, and in the eyes of the Baseball Hall of Fame, better than Matt Holliday, right? So when you look at Jackson Holiday, Drew Jones, it's like kind of a toss-up, right? Based off scouting reports, team needs, all of that. But I think what you're getting into is we have now a third piece of the bloodline, right? Where it's like, how are we going to bank against that? How are you going to bet against that? Is that what you're getting to here?
Essentially, yes. And it's like, I just can't believe it, but I feel like it wasn't so long ago I was reading, he could be like Jackson, but stronger and bigger. And I'm like, wow, he's guaranteed to, number 1 FYPD, right, guys? No, apparently not. And I mean, it's shocking. I mean, he didn't even go 1.1 in the draft. So it's an interesting situation. I'm really, really hope I should stop this now, because I'm going to accidentally end up moving him up FYPD lists. But yeah, I'm very excited. I want Ethan Holiday wherever I can get him. Here's the deal with him. I think his path's going to be different than Jackson Holiday's. I think he's going to be able to provide power faster. He may not have as good of a hit tool long term. He may not be as fast. Like the long term, you could see a 5-tool superstar for fantasy purposes with Jackson Holiday, whereas maybe Ethan Holiday. This is very early to project this kind of stuff, but maybe he's more of maybe he's going to be like a 30+ home run bat, which is fantastic. But maybe you don't see the steals. Maybe we're more of like a 260, 270 average. Still really good, right? But I think we're looking at a really, really good player here. And the thing that you got to remember with Matt Holliday is he's considered like an elite hitting coach as well. And so when these kids go home, or right now, where they've been home for most of their lives, they've been learning from the best, from one of the best. And then when they go home in the off season, they're hanging out with the best. And heck, outside of like actual drills, you can just ask your dad whenever you want. Hey, going through a slump. Hey, what's this? Hey, what's that? And it's not like you have to pay the guy. It's not like he's got other clients that he cares about more. These are just things you got to consider.
We heard that from Kevin Griffin too, right? Like without telling us, because he was respectful and didn't want to ruffle any feathers and didn't want to affect his son's life and all of that. Like the kids have a choice, and Kevin didn't lead into what Connor's choice is, but they have a choice: either listen to their circle or listen to the organization. And when you're Matt Holliday with a brother being Jackson Holliday, if Ethan Holliday comes home and says, dude, the Rockies want me to do this with my swing and my stance, and dad and brother goes, do not do that, pretty sure he's going to lean with them. Right? Like,
that could very well happen. That may have happened already.
It may have happened already. I wanted to bring this up too, because this has been a narrative that you've painted over the last couple of years. But Ethan was taken 4, right? We all agree with that. That's what happened. Ethan Holliday has the #1 slot bonus in the entire draft right now. He was paid the most money, even though he was taken 4th. So what does that tell us, right? If we stick with what you've said, like if a team is going, not only did he sign for the most money, he signed over slot. Mm-hmm. So he very well could have gone 1-1, but the Nationals may have said, hey, we want to pay you under, like we paid, the kid they took, Willits. And he might have said, absolutely not. You're paying me the slot value, if not more. So I think that's very interesting that he's the #1 paid player coming out of this draft. And teams or not teams, but analysts and Twitter account users and fantasy baseball guys are just dumping on the guy. The Rockies just gave him $9 million. I'm pretty sure if there were severe hit tool concerns, they wouldn't be giving him $9 million.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the 2 players I want to talk about real quick. I'm going to touch on them real fast. Not going to get into any player comparisons, but they're both New York Mets. Francisco Alvarez, catcher, now back with the Major League Ball Club. I think if you're looking for catching help in the second half, I think he's either on your wire or acquirable still, because he hasn't done a whole lot since returning. But in 21 games at AAA, he had 11 home runs, batted .270 with a 1129 OPS. I think for everyone that's excited about Spencer Jones, 3 more home runs today, we have to remember that Major League Baseball is much more challenging. So I do not expect Alvarez to put up these kinds of numbers. Again, 11 home runs in 21 games. But I think he could be a big difference maker if he decides to start impacting the ball and avoiding the narrative that has been painted by the New York media and coaching staff, which is make more contact. Big time power. We've known that. Former top prospect. I think if you're bouncing back and forth between waiver wire catchers, or you're worried about playing time, or maybe you have Diaz in Houston and he just hasn't performed for you, I think Alvarez could be a guy to take a shot on. And then second player I have, also New York Mets, is Brett Baty. Baty.
You love him.
Baty. I do like Baty. But again, like we talked about Montgomery, and Baty's kind of the same way. Like incredible bat speed. He's in the 91st percentile at 75.2 miles per hour. A lot more data than we have on Montgomery. The average exit velocity is only at 90.7. But I think if Baty is going to put it together, it will be in the second half. And he has really interesting splits, which actually are somewhat of a concern for me. So in home games, he's batting .289 with a .349 on base percentage and a .556 slug for a .905 OPS. That's great. 10 home runs, 48 games, 25 RBIs, 3 stolen bases. That's a really good player. But unfortunately, in 33 games on the road, he's batting .171 with a .221 on base percentage and a .267 slug. That's almost half of an OPS of what he has at home. So that's a big concern. I don't know what the deal is there. Day games, also pretty bad. Night games, back to being a good player. And then you get into the splits month by month. April, not a good month. 16 games, batted .222. May, batted .290, had an OPS 914. 5 home runs, 21 games. Great player. June, horrible. 195, 571 OPS, 23 games. And here we are in July, 18 games. We have 3 home runs, 277, 352 for an 863. I think this is who Brett Baty is. I maybe will fluctuate closer to 250 to 270, but you're talking about a guy in his good months that's putting up a 800 plus OPS that can get all the way to 9. Big time power, great bat speed, probably on your waiver wire or sitting on somebody's bench who is frustrated and has been frustrated. I would be looking to go after both New York Mets. Weather's heating up. Mets are going to put up offense this summer. And I really do. I think they're targets that could provide you great value at catcher and potentially utility.
Yeah, I mean, look at Brent Beatty's just his Savant page looks really good, and that's different than last year where it looked really bad. He had great bat speed. He actually took quite a bit of walks last year. Year before that, actually had kind of same deal. This year though, some things you're seeing more red creep in. You're seeing an expected BA and a expected weighted OBA. You're seeing those things creeping up a little bit beyond his numbers, because right now his numbers suck, right? Well, 238 is okay for a batting average in Major League Baseball. That's fine, but his OBP is 294. That's not really where you want it to be. It's surprising. He's not like the worst at taking a walk, but yeah, I think you're right in that there could be a path here. We'll have to see what happens with Mark Vientos, like what's going on, right? The team's not giving up on him. A lot of fantasy GMs, I've cut him in a lot of shallow redraft leagues. What's going to happen?
Trade him. I think they trade him. I do.
Vientos.
And I do, because I think the Mets believe in Beatty. I believe in him.
If I was them, I would let them audition and see who wants it. Because that's Vientos the problem, right? Is working on like a hit streak right now himself. He's starting to turn it up in like this really boring way.
They've both been given the chance, and neither of them have seized the opportunity this year, right? Like we saw Vientos do that last year, where it was like, boom, you're the guy. Second half, huge output. We loved him, and coming into this year, polar opposite. He's struggled, even though early in the season his data did look good. I'm wondering if maybe this is just a lost season when we look back on his stat line, his overall season line. But it sounds as though clubs are really interested in him. If it prevents the Mets from giving up a Carson Bench, any of their pitching prospects, I think they would be willing to move Vientos. But again, it would have to be tied to an organizational belief in Beatty.
And that's ballsy, because Vientos is like that. Because I think, and you don't want you don't hear this too often. Sorry to cut you off, but like ethnically, what is he Puerto Rican? Am I getting that way wrong?
I have no idea.
Where is he? Is he
You look that up, but I have the players going back to.
No, he's from America. But he's got lineage that I know he's flexed a different lineage before, even though he's born in America, in Connecticut. Funny enough, didn't he play in the World Baseball Classic for international eligibility? I'm not crazy. He's eligible actually for both Dominican Republic. Bro, this guy vindicated for generalizations. He's eligible to represent the Dominican Republic or Nicaragua, but he's also able to represent Puerto Rico somehow because
grandparents.
There's some his this is just grandparents, correct? Yeah. So this is weird, but I could have I think in New York, never been to New York City, but I believe they have, from what I understand, a big representation of Puerto Ricans, and I think that's like I think a lot of New York Mets fans like him. It just adds kind of that vibe, right?
Yeah, but he's got a hit. That's like they can love him all they want for with the countries his DNA represents.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're seeing if Vientos has been rough and Beatty's been rough, they're both showing life. You have to commit to one. What you're saying is you have to commit to one. And if they both do well, I think that the city, obviously, they like Pete Alonso's the whitest white guy in the world. They're pretty happy with him. But I just think that Vientos likes the city. They like him. It seems like it's a good fit. I'm not even a Mets fan. It just feels like that outside looking in. Maybe somewhere would be a better place for him. I don't know. Maybe some of this because we've actually seen Vientos look like a superstar under the bright lights. So I don't get it. What I was going to say is maybe the New York media and the pressure has gotten to him a bit, but clearly it didn't in the playoffs last year. I don't know. He's a young kid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm on board with you with that. I mean, the problem is we've had 276 plate appearances, 254 at bats in 2025. He's hit 6 home runs. He's batting 224.
He's got a 300 average in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, listen, short sample size is always fun to look at. The Mets are competing for world championships over the next 10 years, right? And this decision is going to be crucial because both of these players are under team-friendly contracts until they hit either ARB or free agency. And both of them have been incredibly inconsistent. Vientos has given us more life in 2024 with 27 home runs and a 266 average than Beatty, but I think they need to trade either of them. I don't care who they pick, but one of them has to go because they're going to cannibalize each other like we see in Baltimore, right? Like there's not enough space for both of them to play. So I hope for their sake, I hope for the Mets' sake that they choose one of them. And I think whoever they trade can give them a good return because, you know, Vientos' numbers are not good underlying right now. If you look at his Savant, it's bad. But again, last year was pretty good. Data early, showed a swing change and some great numbers. But Beatty's the same way, right? Like there is a big league starter in both of these players. It's just not for a team that has a $250 million payroll. One of them is going to start. So I think it's important they choose. So 2 players going back to Arizona in this deal. Whoever's listening, you'll probably already know this. Kind of interesting. Ashton Izzi, Izzi, and I think this is Brandon Garcia, who actually appeared against Milwaukee as a reliever. So 2 names that one of which I'm familiar with, the other I'm not. Gets you Josh Naylor. That's pretty crazy, actually. Any thoughts on those 2 players?
I don't understand the deal, if that's the deal.
Yeah, me either.
Okay, so I saw someone. I'm trying to focus on the podcast, but I did see as I was scrolling. That's not me telling you to not do what you're doing. That's me just saying.
Okay.
But I was on my phone and I saw that one of these Mariners fans saying, "Oh, we got Josh Naylor for free. Cool, you know." But I mean, this is it, right? We're going to start seeing teams pack it in. I am confused with that. I'm very confused.
Well, Naylor is he's a free agent.
Okay, but still,
so like there's that's a piece of this that we have to keep in mind. And honestly, maybe Arizona looked at it like this: we called around, people gave us these mediocre to bad offers. We like this kid Ashton Izzi, and we like Garcia. Out of all the teams and all the offers, that's the one we're going to take, and screw it. I think it's early.
Yeah. Go on.
It's just early. Like this is the same thing with fantasy. You don't need to trade early unless you get an overwhelming deal. Wait till the deadline. If you see other people are starting to sell, hey, maybe have some conversations. But no one's selling in Major League Baseball right now. You don't need to get ahead of anything, right? Like give it a couple days, wait for the pressure to build. Teams that win or lose this weekend are going to be making decisions as to whether they buy or sell, right? The Cardinals sweep the series this weekend. Very different situation than if they lose 2 out of 3 or they get swept. I just think it's a bad time to sell in pro ball before the deadline.
Yeah, I just saw someone, I don't know if this is true or not, it's just some random guy on Twitter, and he's saying that that a rental bat hasn't gotten a top 100 prospect in the last 4 years. Doesn't sound. Well, it could be. Could be. I mean, I guess you got to think. You have to think about it. Sorry. Again, when I say join 30-team fantasy leagues, this is why you got to do it, because now you can do the math, right? So there's 30 teams, top 100 players. Sorry, top 100 prospects. It's like, well, that's every team's, more or less every team's top 3 prospects.
Yeah, are you giving up your top 3rd prospect
essentially
for 2 months of a top 7 or 8 first baseman? I'm not.
That makes more sense when you think about it that way. It's funny how even me, I'm used to, so you play a 12-teamer, right? You go to a 12-teamer, talk about top 100 prospects. Like, yeah, whatever. So chuck a prospect around, right? Just chuck a prospect. Yeah, they're not a real player. Yeah, man, because you're not playing with money. right?
Yeah.
You're not playing with a real organization, real franchise, real company.
Yeah, well, and to kind of second that, if you look at who's in the market for a first baseman, the Mariners need one. Like this
Yeah.
isn't Milwaukee where they have Rhys Hoskins, they have Andrew Vaughn reinvigorating his career for the time being. This is an organization in Seattle that needs a first baseman. How many other organizations that are trying to push their chips in and like go for a wild card or a playoff spot need a first baseman? That may have just been the simple math of this, where Diamondback said, "Hey, the buyers don't care. They're not going to offer us anything." Like again, organizationally, our guys like these two. We're making the deal. It is interesting that guy posted that. I'd be interested to go back on some deals and look at it, but doesn't surprise me. Like I think it's a very different circumstance if Bregman's on a contract year and, they consider opt-outs a part of that. If Alonso were to get traded at this deadline, like I think those names fetch you a top 100 prospect, but Naylor isn't one of those guys.
Speaking of selling, so who who are the St. Louis Cardinals? Because it looked like coming out of the All-Star break is they loudly shouted who they were. Not in the playoffs, not a good team is what they shouted. Maybe DFAing Eric Fetty is going to rebirth them because they're now up 8-5 over the Padres. So
I mean, Sandy Alcantara just pitched 7 shutout innings against the Padres. So I don't know that anything happening with the Padres tells us anything at this moment.
It's not a serious statement, but it's interesting.
It is interesting because it's a problem for them, right? Like,
yes.
JJ is crushing AAA. Like, that's our answer, Doc, right there. If they call him up in 2 weeks, they're going for it. If they don't, they're not. I mean, what?
There's ways that they could.
Today, I think it was like he's ready for the big leagues and they need him, but he's not. I
ask you this. Can they not go younger and then almost be more competitive, right?
Oh,
like
for sure.
Eric Fetty for McGreevy, good trade, right? Nolan Gorman, love the guy. Nolan, like you just forget about or Arenado, which also you can consider that, but Nolan Gorman or Arenado for JJ Weatherholt. It's like maybe he struggles really badly. Maybe he's more polished than any rookie in baseball now.
Are you referencing that what they would do then is trade Nolan Arenado?
No, what I'm saying is like you're removing the player from the team via trade, and then you're bringing up the young kid. So I'm saying you're basically making a trade, like DFAing.
Oh yeah.
Now trades
in a 30-man right now. If I had a choice to start,
I'm talking about real baseball. But yes,
but I'm just saying, like if I would if I have Arenado starting in Weatherholt on my bench and I can bring Weatherholt up to the majors, I am starting him over Nolan Arenado. I might lose terribly with that roster decision, but I'm doing it, right? But I don't have to worry about pissing off Arenado and pissing off the fan base, right? That's the piece of this, because we've heard Arenado's name zero throughout this trade deadline prep.
No. Yeah, you're too much in your Milwaukee zone. Where your brain's you're too focused on winning baseball games, lame, to care about the Cardinals. The Cardinals Twitter is a terrible place right now. That's actually it's become kind of evil. Like they got loud about Fetty and Michaelis, but like, and I'm a
as
Michaelis
they
guy.
should though, they should.
I'm a Michaelis guy, and I was like, no, it's actually going to end because this is now. He had that stud game against the Nats. I'm like, okay, just don't do terrible, and he did terrible again. I'm like, ooh, it's 3 out of 4 terrible. You're probably gone. And then Fetty comes in and says, I got you, bro. What if he's just Michaelis' best friend? He said, bro, I know you're on the hot seat. Let me get hotter. I got your back. And then he took one. he took the bullets. So. Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest issue the Cardinals are going to have is it's not just Milwaukee and Chicago. Cincinnati's kicking around too. It's a deep wild card race, right? They've got to start making decisions that affect and improve their ball club for 26 and 27. And personally, I would have gutted them coming out of the All-Star break, especially after what they put up with the performances that you just talked about. I'd trade Arenado. I'd bring up Weatherholt. I would definitely trade Gorman for a bag of bats if I could get it. And I would continue to let Victor play out there. I'd continue to let Jordan play out there. Like, go into 2026 when Bloom is going to take over in the front office and really put your best young foot forward. Heck, Doyle looks good in spring, roll him out there, right? Matthews is healthy, roll him out there. McGreevy, get him in there. Like, it's time for this team to really start to think about the foundation of a competitive team in the NL Central. And like, everything they have done is not keeping up with Milwaukee, Chicago, and in a weird way, because of Elly De La Cruz and Chase Burns, Nick Lodolo, the Reds, in my opinion, have passed them in this division. And that's terrifying if I'm a St. Louis Cardinal fan.
Yeah, I don't know about that. It is we'll see with Cincinnati. But here's the thing with Arenado, just to clarify, this is getting out of Cardinals land into like Major League Baseball trade deadline situations. Houston Astros, from what I understand, Nolan Arenado did not, he stopped the deal. He has a no trade clause. Yes. And so he said, I don't want to go there. Houston might not be good, is what I understand he thought. Maybe that's not true, but that's what people seem to be thinking. He didn't think they were going to be good. Clearly, they're better than he thought they were going to be. Definitely better than the Cardinals are looking right now. And it plays great. Paredes is hurt, right? This is the whole thing.
Yes.
Is he seriously hurt?
I'll look it up while you keep going.
All right, but the idea, so that's how hamstring injury, pretty significant hamstring injury. Okay, so this might happen, man. Like, this is like a realistic thing, and if you're gonna go somewhere, there's no better spot. I'd be happy to pick up Arenado in a league if he's been dropped. Probably wouldn't trade for him because it's just like sketchy, but like that's a really good park for his approach of just pulling baseballs. Could be a renaissance if he sticks around. That's fun for fantasy, and then in real life, obviously that opens up third base.
Yeah,
you can bring JJ Weatherhold up, and he's just such a Cardinal. It's unbelievable. And so, yeah, they're never going to be. You can say, Elly and Chase Burns, and like, yeah, I mean, you want those guys on your team for sure. But like, so far that's what Cincy's been. They're almost like a bizarro Orioles without that little success. It just seems like they were supposed to be really good by now, or like seeing market improvements, and there's been slow improvements, I guess. But Cincinnati feels like a thin franchise. Is that correct, or am I out of line?
I think as of right now, if I have to take if I have to root for one of them completely unbiasedly,
thin
based off their builds, right? Not because I want to root for Elly. I'm taking the Reds. They have a number one pitcher. Cardinals do not have a number one pitcher. No, that's incorrect. They just drafted a number one pitcher, potentially. The Cardinals have 0 superstars currently on their major league roster. In my opinion, their only chance is JJ in AAA, which is great. But like, is JJ Elly? He might be, right? But there's more pieces to build around at a high output level in Cincinnati right now, because you're also forgetting like Hunter Green, Chase Burns, Nick Lodolo. That is just way better than what St. Louis can provide. Probably going into 2027, maybe Matthews, Doyle, McGreevy, another name,
Liberatore.
Maybe it's Liberatore. Like, sure, maybe. But going into 2026, the Cardinals have to be considered the 4th best team in this division.
I just think the depth is so much better. Like, you're forgetting.
But where is the depth? It's always hurt. That's the problem. Like,
I was going to say Hunter Green's always hurt. Lodolo's been hurt a lot too. McLean's always hurt. What are you talking about, brother? I mean, Ivan Herrera has been hurt too much, but you're not even mentioning him. He's got 305 batting average, 381 OBP this year. He's looking like the center of their lineup.
But that's the best player, right? Like, that's the problem.
But you didn't mention him. Because we forget, and Alec Burleson's got like a 300 average somehow. Like, he's doing secretly good. Like, Brendan Donovan.
That's not winning
it's these
baseball.
Baseball.
What has it done over the last 5 years with those players? Nothing.
They're in playoffs in the last 5 years. Where are the Reds?
How many playoffs?
They're boring.
They're incredibly boring, and they're never going to win anything. That's my point. The Reds have more high upside that scare you in the playoffs. The Cardinals, as it stands today, will not win anything because they have done such a horrible job at developing and building this team. Jordan Walker could have been a star. Screwed him up, right? Nootbaar can't stay healthy. Would be a fantastic top 20 outfielder if he could just stay healthy. Alec Burleson, incredibly inconsistent. Ivan Herrera, awesome. Seems as though he may have injury concerns. Just 1 year of sample size, right? But I just don't see how you like them more going into 2026 than the Reds.
I don't see. Here's the thing. I think for fantasy purposes, there's more of these superstars that jump out at you. But for real life baseball players, like there's more depth. About what was it, a month ago, maybe a little bit more now, we were talking about Cardinals looking really solid because they have all these just all around guys, and there's some good youth coming up. Well, yeah, of course, when the boring all around guys go a little cold. Here's the thing: they haven't been that cold. The pitching's been imploding. Like these random, like Michaelis and Fedde. Michaelis was doing some good stuff earlier in the year. Fedde was actually okay for a little bit too, but the pitching, like when you're getting demoralized for like 10 runs a game or even 5 runs like in the first few innings, like it doesn't feel good for the bats, right? Same thing other way around. When a pitcher's pitching, he's got no run support. It can mess with their psyche sometimes too. But yeah, man, well, this is a lot of like NL Central talk, but I just don't. The Reds, I don't feel like the depth is there. In terms of all-around ball players. And you're saying with playoffs, I don't think it's your like 2 superstars who win playoff games. It's not the NBA. I think this is the difference, right? You have to have that depth.
Okay, and then like just to combat that, right? Let's look at a wild card, best of 3. You got to win 2 games, right? You get Hunter Green, you get Chase Burns. Okay.
This year, I'm not vouching for this year.
But I'm even saying for 2026, right? So let's just say 2026. I think. What are the Cardinals throwing out there? Matthew Liberatore and Quinn Matthews, or
probably
Liam Doyle, who I like. I like Liam Doyle. To me, has a chance to just shut you out in a playoff game. So like I'm on board with that. The problem is the jump from Green to either Burns or Lodolo, and then Doyle to Matthews, who now we just don't know, right? So then you have to assume it's either Liberatore or McGreevy. It's a big jump. I think Green, Lodolo, or Burns can win you up a wild card. I don't think Doyle and whoever else hodgepodge behind him wins you a wild card series.
Yeah, we'll see what's the future is for Sonny Gray. He should probably be traded, but yeah, if he's there, I mean, you're skipping over again like a good pitcher historically.
Well, but Doc, that's the point. They should trade Sonny Gray. Like,
yeah, I agree.
They could get back for Sonny Gray. You probably get 2 top 100s right now. If you fire first before DeGrom or Evaldi get traded, if they get traded,
I think we're losing our. I agree with you. I think we've done I don't know how long it's been. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
That's all that matters.
I think we agree. I think we agree to disagree in that essentially. So next year, you don't believe in the Cardinals. You believe in the Reds more. I think you're not counting any. Here's the thing. You can have guys not take steps forward, but you have to imagine some guys will with the Cardinals. You have to imagine
the same thing would be said. But the same thing would be said for the Reds, right? Like maybe you get a healthy Hunter Green. Maybe you get a full healthy season of Lodolo. Like Burns up for another year. Maybe Matt McLain finally hits over 220. Like maybe they finally sign a first baseman, or
they've had those things happen before, and now like they've had good things.
There's a big difference in run differential for both teams. The Reds are well ahead. And I'm not going to put that on the Cardinals because you said they've had some big blowups. Because why the heck are you starting Eric Fedde? And I would even say Miles Michaelis. I know you like him, but I don't think it's going to be a good second half for him.
Listen, yeah, it can't get much worse.
It can't get much worse. Yeah, I agree with that. So I'm just looking at both teams now and saying, what are we expecting? A 325-25 from JJ Weatherholt? Like that would be one of the greatest rookie seasons of all time.
I retract my Sonny Gray is good thing. I think he's actually do these guys not want to get traded? This locker room must be a bust, man. It's now 8-7, and Sonny Gray has allowed 6 earned, 7 total runs.
Is the anti-Sandy Alcantara. Pitches great all year until the one start before the potential deadline, and he's like, "Nah, I want to stay here." Okay, I've got one more name. We've gone 52 minutes, so we've well shot.
I guess I'm going to throw it in here, actually, now that before we freaking leave off. McGreevy, I'll also say it. Michael McGreevy, quality start guy. Michaelis, think peak Michaelis, then hopefully he gets better, actually. But, he's going to be a boring guy. If you want to think of someone that's not named, someone that you don't like, Noah Cameron. Maybe that's a better example. He's just this boring guy. He's going to get the job done. Quality starts, 3.75 ERA.
And I like that you say that. I think I think that's great. And this team desperately
No, I'm
needs
just
that.
talking about fantasy second half heroes if we're going back to that.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, if you're looking to pick up a Noah Cameron, which you can't get right now, McGreevy would be your pick as the guy to target. Okay, last name. We're staying NL Central. O'Neal Cruz. Are you buying him in fantasy, and are you buying him in real life?
Well, I'm not buying him in real life because the slave trade was outlawed years ago. So I do not condone Matt Morris's pro-slavery rhetoric on the Dynasty Tingers podcast. Unfortunately, gosh, well, I don't know how. I just don't know how I'm going to keep this relationship going.
Would you trade for O'Neal Cruz if you were a professional baseball team? And would you trade for him as a dynasty owner?
Look at his page. It's classic. I just don't like his brain, man. And maybe he'll grow out of it, but I've said the same things about Jazz Chisholm for years now. It's like, hey, prove me wrong. I hope he matures. O'Neal's not as mouthy. I don't know, I don't see him talking as much. He seems like a really quiet guy, actually. But gosh, he just does some weird things on the field. I don't have to go into them. We've gone to them on this podcast before, but those kind of things, it's a mental game. It makes me wonder, hey, physical tools, this could be, Ellie De La Cruz. He kind of already is. He's his ratios are awful, but 16 home runs, 33 stolen bases, that's preposterous. That's really good. But this is like a fantasy specialist right now. Will he? The Pirates are probably not the organization for him, considering they have a hard time with hitters, period. Their culture is not great for winning. This is a guy maybe where you put him, because, again, I don't think he's mouthy like Jazz. I don't mean this in a mean way. I straight up don't know. I don't know if he speaks English that well. Maybe that's part of it. But I'm assuming he's got some other teammates who, speak Spanish. So I don't know. I see his mouth closed a lot, which is a good sign. But he's not jogging things. He's not running through, to first base. He's not going after a baseball when he's playing center field. These are bad problems. Maybe that's a guy where you get him, maybe not with Aaron Judge, but you get him with a leader, a true alpha dog. So right now, other than Paul Skeens, who's a pitcher, it's a different world, right? There's no hitter on the Pirates who's pulling him aside and saying, I'm going to tell you how to play baseball.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that team is right now. Maybe you have some ideas, but yeah, I think it'd be I don't think it's going to work here. And I can't imagine this. I can't imagine Paul Skeens. I can't imagine Paul Skeens from a military background likes this guy at all or respects what he's doing, and I don't know how he gets it across to him if he doesn't talk. And if straight up, if they can't speak the same language, I just don't know how that works. It feels like it'd be really awkward. And honestly, the more I'm talking about it, the more I wish I could see. I wish I could have seen the interactions after those games where the knucklehead moments popped up.
Yeah, I think from an organizational perspective, we've talked a lot about Pittsburgh and needing offense and, trading your best offensive piece, even though he has more of a fantasy profile. I think you do it. I think this is the last chance to trade O'Neal Cruz before the league realizes that he is just a physical specimen that puts up some incredible baseball highlights. But is he really going to lead you to the playoffs if you're Pittsburgh? And I think this is the highest his value is going to be the rest of his Pittsburgh career. I don't want to say career, Pittsburgh career. I think you could get a couple top 100s for him. I saw Philly on Twitter today was buzzing around. People weren't really sure if that was legitimate or just trolly, but I actually would like Philly.
I could see him in Philly.
Think about it. Schwarber, Castellanos, Harper, leaders.
Harper could alpha all three of those guys would put him in his place. We'd find out real quick.
Yes.
Imagine the Phillies fans seeing him pull anything like that. He would never get away with it.
Well, but also
the Pirates fans are just happy to have someone who can do anything with a bat. So they're not going to be ripping on you too much.
In Philadelphia. No. He shouldn't be a center fielder. If you can't play short, maybe go to a corner. If you can't do a corner, right? I would just trade him, and it would suck this year for Pittsburgh because at that point it would slam the door closed on any Paul Skeens wins. Not seriously, but it kind of would because the offense would be anemic. But I would love to see O'Neal in an organization. I would love to see him scratch the surface of the Ellie De La Cruz profile, right? Because you said he's kind of Ellie, and it's well, Cincinnati's doing something right with Ellie. Almost 400 at bats, 18 home runs, 27 stolen bases, 276 average, a 276 average for Ellie De La Cruz. That's growth. 357 on base percentage. Like, Ellie's making some really big strides. Credit to the organization, credit to Ellie. I think O'Neill, with the right discipline and leadership, could do the same, do similar improvements, get to that 250, 260 number again. And I think Pittsburgh has nothing to lose at this point. It can't get much worse, I guess, is my take.
Yeah, and I think Ellio's just got, again, better head on his shoulders too, so that helps. But yeah, their numbers, O'Neill's got more stolen bases right now, which is crazy. But yeah, Ellie, I believe more in Ellie at this point. I used to be the other way with it. I liked being the underdog. A few years ago, I was like, everyone likes this Ellie kid, but I'm sticking with O'Neill, and I think I'm flipping around on that one.
It's kind of easy when there's a 70-point difference in their average.
No, it's not. I swear to you, it's nothing to do with that. Because right now you can make the argument, actually O'Neill's, the more toolsy guy, and maybe he is, but it's like the brain. Like, Ellie just seems like a nicer guy. Right? He seems like he is a more pleasant teammate. Like, here's the thing, like, that affects everything. It's not just like you're cool to have in the locker room. It's like, you're cool to have in the locker room, but you're easier to work with the coaching staff, with trainers, with every step of the way, right? Maybe you're more willing to learn something. Let me repeat that again, right? It's like that's life.
Yep.
If you're not willing to learn, you won't grow. You can only get by on pure talent for so long, especially in baseball. I'm telling you, some of these other sports, football, basketball, you can get by on just being freaky athletic. But baseball, you cannot.
Yeah, I mean, I had one more name, which was Luis Robert. We're already over an hour, but similar situation, right? Like, freak athlete, hitting around 200, 20 plus stolen bases. But like, will he get traded and blossom because now he's in a different environment? And I think the interesting piece that Vaughn and Gavin Sheets have shown us is, like, when these guys leave Chicago, when they leave the South Side, it is like being released from prison. They just flourish. They may not become the players that you thought they could become, but like they become usable big leaguers. And I hope the same thing for Luis Robert. And again, from Pittsburgh's perspective, O'Neill Cruz. But Doc, we are at the hour mark. We got to about a quarter of our intended topics, which was great. I always love that. Good conversation today. Anything you want to share before we say goodbye today?
Josh, hope everyone enjoyed our NL Central breakdown podcast involving the Josh Naylor trade that we just kind of like pieced together, and then there's a second half heroes. Welcome to the Schizophrenic podcast.
I think it is more of the attention deficit podcast for both of us on that. We did enjoy our conversation today. But all right, dude, send us out.
Yeah.
See you guys next week.